Line, we trail 17-3. Crowd noise growing on the Florida sideline. Anyway, there's the snap. Murray will pump fake. Now he'll throw it into the far corner. Some pushing and shoving. Did we catch it? Yes, we did. Michael Bennett wrestled his way free to make the catch in the far corner.
Reverse the other way. Here comes Hines Ward. He got a block. He scored. In the air, they give it to Henry. We met him in the hole and we tried to drive him back, and I don't know if we did, but it's awfully close. They make it. My God, the defense stopped him on the...
Breaks the tackle. No shot. 45, 50, 45, 40, 35. Nobody's going to catch him.
Cox to throw. Post route. Caught by Grady. Bumped by a man into the far corner. He's going to get there first. Touchdown. Running to the left. Angling. 25-20. Got a block from Brock. 50, 10, 5. Touchdown. 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 Dogs win it. We're headed to Atlanta.
Dogs are in the 5-2 again. Harper long count. Started a man in. Takes a draw, going to throw over to the right side, and it's knocked down on the 45, intended for Cornett. Hit by Chris Welton, the rover back, over on the far side. He just got his hand on it. They went to a sideline pattern, and the Dogs rover back got over there to tip it. And it becomes third down and a short 8 with the ball up just barely across the 38. Bright sunshine, and what a shame there wasn't 85 or 90,000 seats here. You could only sell 60 or 61,000. But television helps the crowd. Dogs in a 5 and a quick snap, and Harper back to throw. Throwing too high, out of bounds. He threw it in the dog bench on the 42-yard line. Intended for Willie Scott, the Giants tight end. Jimmy Payne had some delayed pressure on him to hurry a little. At the second time, Carolina snapped it pretty quick.
Larry, one of the big factors in this game has to be Georgia's ability to stop South Carolina's passing attack, because that has been a very big factor in the last 2 wins between these two teams, as South Carolina's throwing. More about that later.
Chris Norman will kick. Dogs have 7 men on the line, not trying to rush them all. Norman kicks wobbly high off the right side of his foot. Fair catch called for. Bad kick. Georgia's got it on the 30. Mike Fisher, a cornerback, went over and caught a ball that was a little wobbly and short, roughly 33 yards from the line of scrimmage. Georgia's got pretty good field position. They will be on their 30. Dogs in red helmets, red tops, and those silver pants, and the white trim. Carolina all in white. Below walks up, has a slot right with the eye. Carolina's up on a 5, and they have a cornerback coming up as if for a 6. They go to Herschel Walker, trying to go over the weak side tackle. Carolina only gives him a yard on that side. Herschel tried to run off to his left. Right side of the Carolina line wouldn't let it go. Henderson, the end, hit him first. Phil Ellis, the other end, had come across. And it'll be second down and 9. South Carolina has a big defensive line with a lot of weight in it. And like the Dogs, a lot of experience in it. They're in a 5-2. It's really a 5-3 now. Buck Bellew looks at it. Second and 9. Georgia on the 31. They go to Herschel Walker. They hit him head on as he gets 2 maybe, or only 1.5. He was trying to come into his right guard. And Walt Cater, the linebacker, was the first man that hit him. Their leading tacklers have been Ed Baxley and Walt Cater, the 2 linebackers. One is 220, one's 205. Herschel only got a yard at the 32. It's third down and 8. Georgia up to the line. Lindsey Scott wide left, Amp Arnold wide to the right. Carolina cornerback coming up almost into 6. Bellew wants to throw. Going to look, fire, completes Arnold. Arnold on the 44, and they knock him down. He hit Amp Arnold. He threaded the needle very well. Cater, the linebacker, was the first man that hit him. And the pass play was, let's give him 13 yards from the 32 to the 45, because the football's within 5 inches of the 45-yard line. Dogs coming up to the line. They got a first down. Carolina in a 5-2. It's sort of a 5-4 the way the corners are up. Carolina jumped offside but got back. And Buck Bellew going to pitch it to Herschel, trying to get him out with a block. One man came up from behind to grab him as he tried to turn the right corner of the short side. He only got a yard or so. Ed Baxley, the linebacker, primarily the first man there. And Emmanuel Weaver, that big nose guard, that middle guard, was there with pressure. And the gain was a yard. It'll be second down and 9. It's a short 9. The ball is on the other side of the 46. He almost got 2. Dogs on their own 46.5. Second down, about 8.5 technically. 2 men split, 1 short to the short side, and that's Scott. Then they pitch it to Herschel Walker, trying to get him outside. He's going to sweep up to the 45, 6, 7, 8, 9, and out of bounds on the far side. Try to get him out around that corner. Henderson, South Carolina's defensive right end, played it very, very well. And the game was about 3 to the 49. And the Dogs are going to be looking at a third down and about 5.5. They're exactly on the 49, and the first down is down on the Carolina 45.5. Dogs are third down, a short 6. Arnold and Lindsey Scott slot to the right side. Carolina's in that 5-4 again. Their secondary up pretty close. Buck Ballou looking at it. Going to fake to Herschel. Going to look, and he's going down deep to Amp Arnold. He missed him. 7 inches off his hands on the 15-yard line. Amp Arnold got open. Amp dove in the air, and it brushed his fingertips. Dogs blew Amp Arnold down the right side and had him out there by 2 full strides. Just missed it. He dove long and flat, and it brushed his fingertips. Malkowitz in the kick. Let's see if South Carolina's going to load up the line. Deep man is Harry Thomas around the 14. They had a bad snap. He kicked it off the ground. It hit a Georgia man on the 34. It rolled down to the 26. Now let's see if we're going to get a flag or of any kind. Bad snap at Mark Malkowitz's feet. He was trying to pick it up. He kicked the ball off the ground. That Dog had it off his hands out around the 34-5, and it went dead down to the South Carolina. I think they'll put her on the 34, Phil.
I wonder if he's been practicing drop kicking lately, because that's almost what it was, Larry.
Yeah.
Now, of course, South Carolina gets the ball.
There's got to be some excitement. There's a lot of emotions here. Carolina had a high, short, wobbly short kick, and the Dogs had to kick one off the ground just as short, if not shorter. 20-some-odd yards. Carolina, good field position on their own 34.5. And they run a flanker motion. They pitch it to Rogers, trying to get him out, and the Dogs knock him down around the 37. Got a couple of yards. They had a big sweep right. He cut back in. They had kicked Georgia's end out a little. McShay turned around, got an arm on him, and Tim Crow at lineman hit him. And Will Forts, the linebacker, hit him. He got 3 close to the 38. It'll be second down and 7. That snap came right back at Malkowitz's feet, though he was actually dropping it. 5-2 setup, quick count. Rogers in the middle, spinning and driving up to the 44. It looks like he got 5 or 6. George Rogers knocked off balance as Tim Crow, Stone Mountain, knocked his feet out from under him. Scott Warner, a cornerback, came up to land on him. But he got about 6 where he fell. Third down and 1. South Carolina got the ball on their own 44. They only need a yard. Dogs get up in a tight. It's almost a 7. They are almost up in there in a 7. Long count. Gary Harper, he splits the backs with 1 man out. Long count. Quick handoff. Rogers spinning. 1 man hit him, but he pulled loose and fell forward 3 more yards to the 50. Dogs are grabbing at his ankles and pulling his feet out. He's getting 3 or 4 more yards every time. Will Forts, Nate Taylor, the linebacker, and Tim Crow hit him. And he got about 4 more, almost 5. Let's give him 5. He got 5 up to the 49. South Carolina trying to move again. Rogers got 16 yards the first 2 times he touched the ball. Gillespie is South Carolina, a little short flanker right. They run a 2 tight end offense, an awful lot. They got a big tight end named Scott, you got to watch. Dogs are in a 6-2 now. Carolina puts a flanker in motion. Harper pitches it to Rogers, and our overback Welton came in and hit him on the 49, and then 2 more red shirts hit him. Welton hit him, then Eddie Weaver, the guard, hit him. And Rogers this time only got a yard to the 50, second and 9. 44, they actually got 6. Carolina's down on the Georgia 44, trying to drive third and only 3. Slot left with the eye. Harper looking at a 5-2 defensive setup, fairly long count. Going to go to Rogers, and they blitzed on him, and Eddie Weaver hit him behind the line, back around the 47. Eddie Weaver, ball game. Arnold and Scott slot to right. They pitch it to Herschel Walker, driving at the tackle, going to about the 31. I think he's shy of the first down. They kicked the Carolina defensive end out on that side. They had a little bit of a hole, but he still reached around. Henderson had an arm on him. Cater, the linebacker there. And the game was 2 yards to the 31.5. It's third down about a yard and a fraction. They have to go just outside of the 30 for a first down. Clarence Kay is coming in. Scott and Arnold have come out. Ronnie Stewart has come in at fullback. Dogs third down. They need a long yard. They're sitting outside the Carolina 31. Carolina's up on a tight 7-2 now. They go to Herschel Walker to tackle. Drives to the 27. Herschel got 4 big yards. He went in his own right tackle, running primarily with Hudson and Morrison on the right side. And Baxley, the linebacker, and Perlott, the free safety, hit him. The gain was almost 5. Let's give him 4, 4.5. He's just inside the 27. Georgia knocking on the door because Pat McShay blocked the punt. Dogs lining up, split man out each side. Carolina now kind of in a spread across 5-4. And they pitch it to Herschel Walker. He's got 5, 10, 15, down to the 11-yard line. Skipper, the cornerback, hit him. Carolina, an old standard 6-2 setup at the moment. And they go to Walker in the middle, 5 yards, maybe 6 down to the 5, right up the gut in the middle. Herschel Walker going straight ahead. Province, a big left tackle. Hal Henderson at right end hit him. And Herschel Walker got 6 yards to the 5. Second down, 4 to go. Dogs are knocking at it. 5:51 to go in a quarter, no score, nothing. What a shame you can only sell 60,000 plus tickets to something like this. They're in an eye, one man split wide left. Look at Carolina, tight in a 6-3 up in there. And they go to Walker. He had a dive, and he knocked him upside down. Somebody submarined underneath there coming in. It was Baxley, a linebacker. Herschel tried to dive and get something out of it, and they only got a yard. I think it came down on his head on a 4-yard line. Hit by Weaver, that middle guard. Cater, a linebacker on the right side. It'll be third down, 3.5 for a first down. South Carolina made great goal line stands up at Ann Arbor to save a win in the closing moments. In fact, they did it a couple, 2-3 times in that game. Dogs need 3.5 yards around on a 4.5. And they give it to Walker, and they submarine and knock him upside down again on the line of scrimmage. They knocked him upside down right there, no gain. Weaver, the middle guard, and Henderson, the end, and the Dogs may go for 3. Weaver's a kid out of New Orleans, weighs 250, a junior, stands 6'4". Carolina has held. In fact, they lost a yard on that play back out to the 5.5. Dogs kept running it with Walker, and Carolina with 2 straight submarines did it. Broadway sets it down. Rex Robinson sticks it up in there, and no good. He missed it. He missed it right down in front of it. Robinson missed the field goal. Carolina saved themselves. Timeout, 30 seconds. Georgia football net. That figures in. 6-man line, and they got a hold of the tackle. Rogers spinning and driving, and he got 10 or 10.5. He broke a couple of tackles out on the 26 and 7 and kept twisting, and the Dogs had to hang on to him, and Rogers had Ross hanging on to him. Jeff hit the safety man, and he got 11 yards to the 31. George Rogers, with everybody keying on him, hasn't been stopped by anybody this year again. Ball is back in the 30.5. They may only credit him with 10 on that. Mark Austin, their big offensive center, says something to Harper, the quarterback. Dogs in a 6-2. First down up there on the 30. The flanker starts in motion back behind the quarterback, and Harper's going to pitch it to Rogers and give him a block. He's got a hole. He's coming at the tackle, and they really rack him up on the 35. Dogs really hit him hard. Rogers had a hole. They kicked the dog end out with a 2-team, and he shot in a wide hole, and Tim Parks hit him. Thurston, a linebacker, hit him. Dale Williams, a cornerback, hit him. Ball up in the 35, second down, and about 5.5. Let's call it 6. They have to go almost to the 41 for a first down. Dogs blocked the punt and lined up and took it down in there to the 4.5 and couldn't do it. 6-2 setup. Harper, the quarterback. He shifts him in the split backs now, and a quick handoff in the middle of Rogers, and the Dogs hit him hard as he went in the left guard. Defensive line hitting him there. You realize that defense of ours has already made a big play, but this time we couldn't use it. Ross, the linebacker. Tim Crow, defensive guard, hit him. Gain was 2 to the 37. Carolina's third down, a short 4. They keep running. Horace Smith and Tim Gillespie, the flankers, in and out on every play with signals from the sidelines. They do that an awful lot. Carolina up to the line. They're in an eye. Dogs are in kind of a space 6-2-2-1 setup. Carolina splits the backs. They need about 3.5. Harper going to run an option, pitch it to Rogers, and they hit him shy up on a 39. Harper went along the line option. He pitched it back to the tremendous Rogers, and Pat McShay of Anderson, South Carolina, and Chris Welton of Atlanta, their overback, played it well. Got 2 more yards to the 39, fourth down and 2. And Chris Norman will punt. Carolina stopped out on a 39. Dogs with 7 men on the line. Good snap from center. 1 man rushing, and the kick is long, tremendous. And up on the 13 or 14 is Warner trying to break a tackle. Somebody hit him high under the armpits and about the 18.5 and knocked him back. He ran by 1 man. They had good coverage. The second man grabbed him high as he tried to come up the middle, look for a little seam. 45-yard kick. Just up to the line on the 19. South Carolina in a 6-man front at the last moment. Ballou going to throw. He's long down the side. Lindsey Scott comes back, catches it on the 40, complete as they knock him down right away. Lindsey Scott turned around and saw the ball coming short, and the gain was 40 yards, 41 yards to the South Carolina 40. Mark Bridges, a cornerback, running right with him, and Scott turned around and saw it coming a little shy and came back and caught it, and they hit him right away. Ballou hit a long bomb. Dogs are already back to the South Carolina 40. South Carolina in a 5-2. They give it to Walker off the tackle, driving. He goes down to the 35. Carolina hit him around
one as they threw for 228 yards, and Ballou had the great evening.
Late in the quarter, no score. 2 men split out, 5-man front. They pitch it to Herschel Walker. He needs a block. He tries to cut in. He ground out 2.5 maybe and got knocked down. We only got 68 seconds in the quarter. They are going to put it down close to the 32. Give him 3 yards. Head back. Backs with the left side linebacker. Emmanuel Weaver, a great middle guard, hit him. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Kay is back in at tight end. Ronnie Stewart is in at the fullback. Arnold and Scott out. Dogs need 2 yards. They really need 2 and a fraction yards. They're barely outside the 32. Carolina figures are coming right in the middle. They're in a 6-2. Stewart in motion off to the left side. And they pitch it to Herschel Walker, who dropped the ball. Everybody dives. Who's got it back in the 41? The snap was dropped by Herschel Walker, something he has not done all year. Ball way back in the 41-yard line. And loss on the play of 8 yards back to the 40. Herschel barely got an arm on it. Dogs are 4th and 10 back out on the 40. Robinson is going to go reaching for a 50-yarder. Missed a chip shot a short while ago. It shocked everybody. They're going to set it down on a 47. South Carolina, 7 men on the line, 1 man standing and 3 behind. And Robinson hit a long one. It's long. It's long. Good! He kicked it 57 yards as the quarter ends. Georgia leads 3-0. Timeout, 60 seconds. Georgia Football Network. Georgia leads. Robinson kicks long, tremendous ball back in the end zone, 6-7 yards, going to be down by Horace Smith back there. He stuck it in that end zone deep. We pause 10 seconds here. Station identification, Georgia Football Network.
This is Georgia Bulldogs football on the Sports Voice of Middle Georgia, AM 94, WMAZ, Macon.
It's 3-0 in favor of Georgia, and the Bulldogs keep their first quarter record unblemished, Larry. They haven't given up a point yet this year in the first quarter.
Carolina, Harper up to the line with an eye. 2 men split out. Dogs are up on a 6-2. Carolina splits the backs. Harper slides along, and a quick hand off to Johnny Wright, and the defensive line knocks him down. He might have had a yard. Little dive off that split backfield. Joe Freeman's playing on a bad ankle. Hit him. Eddie Weaver had an arm. Nate Taylor, the linebacker, had come over to help. Give him a yard to the 21, 2nd and 9.
9 yards to go.
Who jammed that hole? Who really jammed the hole? Nick Payne tells me Joe Creeman's really jammed that hole up where the dive was supposed to go. Carolina up to the line. They go slot out to the left this time. Dogs going to 5-2. Quick snap. They pitch it to Rogers. He's got blocking. He's outside 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 yards. They got blocking. The 2 slot men came flying down the field to go after the secondary. They ran a sweep, and Rogers, they do a lot of sweeping. They've hurt every team they played that way. And he picked up 16 yards to the 37. Nate Taylor from behind. Jeff Hipp, the safety man, had to hit him also. Carolina got a first down out of the 37. I can just hear Ara Parseghian talking about this. I spent a lot of time with him yesterday. Harper walks up to the line. 1 man split out. Quick snap. Takes the draw. He's going to throw. Harper looks down the middle. Incomplete off his hands on the Georgia 45. He jumped and couldn't go. Horace Smith, the flanker. Incomplete. Jimmy Payne and Eddie Weaver had pretty good pressure at the last second coming at the thrower, Harper.
Larry, one of the things that we mentioned earlier was that South Carolina has burned Georgia the last 2 years. In fact, it's amazing. They're now 0 for 3, but coming into this ball game for the last 2 years, they completed 86% of their passes against Georgia for over 300 yards in their last 2 ball games.
And they've had over 800 yards in the last 2 games against us also. Dogs are in a 6-2. Harper looking at it. He's got an eye, a power eye. 1 man split out. He's going to go to Rogers on a draw, and they hit him on a 40 or 41. He had a hole in the middle. Nate Taylor, that linebacker, one of the men closing the gap there. Jeff Hipp, the safety man, hit him. Give him 3 yards out to the 40. It'll be 3rd down and 7. South Carolina sitting there on their own 40, 3-0. Georgia leading early second quarter. On paper, these are 2 of the finest defenses in America. One giving up a little under 8, the other one giving up a little over 8 points. South Carolina wide slot right there in an eye. Dogs now kind of a spread across. 5-3 setup. Man in motion back to the power. Harper wants to throw. Harper got time down the middle and complete. They hit him right away, or did he drop it? Yeah, he dropped it. They roll incomplete on the 40. Dogs cracked it out of Smith's hands. Horace Smith had it. Jeff Hipp may have been the first man that hit him. Then came 2 others up in there to clock him. Warner and Hipp were both there. Will Forts had dropped back.
Harper did a great job to really zoom that ball in there because Georgia had all kinds of coverage. Harper had plenty of time, but he really gunned it in there, and the ball just was
4th and 7. Norman, the kick for South Carolina. They're on their own 40. Dogs have 7 men on the line, and the kick is good. Long kick. Way down there. And hits on a 1-yard line and gets in the end zone. Man, did he get his foot in that from the line of scrimmage 60 yards. Warren, what do you got?
It was Jeff Hipp, who is from Columbia, South Carolina, who forced him to drop that ball, number 44, Horace Smith. He went in there and really gave him a lick, and you could see the ball bouncing to the ground. He looked like he might be able to trap it well enough that the official might have missed it, but the official did have enough angle to come in and rule it incomplete.
Georgia has got a new center. Joe Happy has come in. I don't know if Radloff took a blow on that shoulder or not. Our number 1 center, Knoll, is gone. We can't afford to lose Radloff. There's an official timeout. Timeout here, 30 seconds. This is the Georgia Football Network. Dogs got a wide slot. Arnold and Scott there, 2nd and 9 on the 21. Buck Ballou coming around, stopping, and he batted it down right in front of his face, incomplete behind the line. Blocking broke down there. Chuck Allen, that big right tackle, batted the ball down. He was back in the 13. He was under pressure as Ballou tried to go to the left. And it'll be 3rd down and 9. Dogs running Carney Norris in at the tail. Down on their own 21, leading South Carolina 3-0 after coming down, missing a short field goal on a ball that really got up in the air and went far and was inches off, and then kicking a 57-yarder. South Carolina gave up a point on the last play of the quarter to trail it 3-0. They haven't done it all year. Ballou back to throw. Looks. And in trouble. They sack him back in the 12. He stood looking. Carolina's coverage was pretty good. And Walt Cater, the linebacker, hit him back there. Loss of about 8 yards back to the 13. And the Dogs are in a tough, bad kicking situation here. South Carolina's knocked them back to the 13. Malkowitz will kick from his own end zone. And South Carolina going to load it up a little bit more. Malkowitz kicks, low spiral, not real long. Fair catch call for around the 43 by Thomas. Not a real long kick. Take time out here for 60 seconds. This is a Georgia Football Network. A short Georgia punt. 30-odd yards out on the Georgia 43. Eye wide slot left. Dogs are in a 5-2. Harper going to pitch it to Rogers. And one man blitzed in and caught him back on a 46 or 7. Dale Carver, who came off a blocker. Came off Chuck Slaughter, a tackle who was back to block him. And Dale Carver, Melbourne, Florida, blitzed in there and knocked Rogers back behind the line for 3-yard loss back to the 46. And he barely could hang on to his leg. He came off a blocker back there, was falling. He grabbed Rogers by the leg and barely hung on enough but got him down. Carolina 2nd down and 13. Dogs are in a 6-2. Harper looking with one flanker off to the right side. And he's going to run a draw in the middle, and they hit Rogers right on the 46 and knock him back to the 48.5. Rogers on a little trap up in there, and it closed. Ross, the linebacker, Carver, the end. Eddie Weaver, the guard, hit him. They put it on the 45, and he picked up a yard to the 45. It'll be 3rd and 12. South Carolina on the Georgia 45. Georgia leading on a 57-yard field goal, 3-0. 10:47 to go. South Carolina hasn't given up a point all year in the fourth quarter, no matter who they played, nor had they in the first quarter. Till on the last play of the quarter, the Dogs kicked that long field goal. One man out with an eye. They shift the backs and split him. Georgia's in a 6-2, almost a 6-3. They go to Rogers. He had a hole. He pushed it. He got 5 to the 40. He had a little hole at his left guard. He got to the 40. Tommy Thurston, a linebacker. Joe Creeman's the guard. Frank Ross, the linebacker, hit him. And South Carolina's 4th down and about 7 on the 40, and Chris Norman will kick. Dogs have stiffened out here when they had to after a short punt out of their own end zone. Snap bounces on the ground. Norman picked it up and kicked. Got a good kick angling for the right side, and it hits in the end zone. Snap went on the ground. We've had some funny things happen on punts or near punts today. And the Dogs will put it in play as the defense gets a great standing hand from the crowd. Lauren, have you got something on Radloff down there?
Larry, he's okay. The offensive plan is to alternate Radloff and Joe Happy. They'll each alternate series. Radloff will play one and Happy the next, so he's okay.
Radloff back in at center, Dick Payne tells me. Dogs 2 men out with an eye. Carolina in a 5-man front. And he fakes it. Blues coming outside, got room to run. He throws. He threw too high, incomplete. Buck came out, had room to run, fired too high down there, out around the 40, 41-yard line or so. Had Womack, and he had Scott, and he had Norris Brown. He had 3 receivers down that side. I thought he was going to run as he came outside. 2nd and 10. Georgia hanging on to a 3-0 lead, trying to stay number 4 in the country. South Carolina trying to come up in the top 10 rankings. They're number 14 the last couple of weeks. You think this isn't big? South Carolina looks at a major bowl bid if they win. Dogs are alive in a bowl fight for different reasons because of the conference rankings, everything here. They run a draw. Womack spinning, and he got hit up on the 23 or 4. He had a little hole. Womack starting in, and Henderson, a very good end, and Cater, a linebacker, hit him. They'll put him close to the 24. It'll be 3rd down, about the 23.5. 3rd down and about 6.5. Bill?
Larry, do you realize it's the first time today that Georgia has run the ball and it has not been Herschel Walker carrying it?
Give him 3. 3rd down, a short 7. Dogs on their own 23.5. Carolina in a 5-2. Buck Bellew fakes. Back to throw. Looks. Walker's open. Complete in the 29 to 30. 34-5. They had to throw a block and knock him upside down in the 35. Pat Bowen, the strong safety. Vanderbilt probably thought on that. Their little safety man threw blocks at him. Herschel came over. I thought I smelt that coming. Turned. Buck laid it in there, and the gain was 11, just shy of the 35, and a 1st down. Ronnie Stewart back in at the full. Georgia up to the line, sitting on their own 34.5. They're not quite up to the 35. Carolina comes up to a 6. They go to Walker, cuts back in the middle. He pushes and shoves. Watch. A flag down on the play, however. We might have a penalty. Herschel Walker got almost 5, but we could have a call against Georgia they expected. Let's take 30 seconds time here. This is a Georgia football net 20. 2 men split. Bellew looking. Buck going down the right side of Scott. Complete and out of bounds on the 38. He hit him. Lindsey Scott caught it just inside and then tiptoed out. Watch a flag down back in the 26. Wait a minute. They got 17 on the play, but watch a possible penalty there. Flag dropped between the 25 and 26-yard line, which was only about 5 or 6 yards over the line of scrimmage and was a dozen yards or 11 yards behind where it was caught. Now they're talking to Georgia.
Looks like, Larry, the penalty is against South Carolina, and I think one of the Georgia tight ends, Norris Brown, got racked up on the play pretty good. He may have been hit while the ball was in the air, and right now Georgia's got to decide whether to take the play or the penalty, and Buck Bellew is finding out all the alternatives from the officials at this point, so the decision has to be made. Bellew, I think, has pretty much made up his mind, and now they're picking up the flag, and let's see what the call is. Well, it's against the defense for pass interference.
Interference penalty. That's going to give the Dogs a 1st down on the 26-yard line with the sign that he gave, though the yard markers are still down between the 35 and 45. Dogs retreat. Pass interference sign again given. Yes, it's an automatic 1st down. And the Dogs gladly give up the 17-yard completion to take a 1st down on the 26. Clarence Kay hurries in there at a tight end. And we take Norris Brown out, who got racked, as Phil mentioned a moment ago, pretty hard on the play. Georgia given a 1st down on interference, which was short right over the line. All right, 2 men split out, 5 men front. Herschel Walker bucking and driving for about 3. No more than that, and maybe only 2. He went at his own left tackle. Chuck Allen, a tackle on that side. Walt Cater, linebacker for South Carolina, hit him. We'll give him a couple of yards. Second down, about 8. They're really 7.5. He's up to the 28. Series of downs started on the 25.5. Dogs split 2 men out. Carolina's a cornerback walking up. They're in the 6. They blitz off one side. Blue runs to the other and throws on a run. Incomplete, almost intercepted on the 43 by Ed Baxley, a linebacker. They blitzed off the right side. He was looking for Norris Brown, the tight end. As he sprinted off to the right, it's going to be third down, 7.5. Ball up on the 28. Almost third down and 8. Womack back in and Stewart out at full. Stewart had his jersey torn off. 3-0. Georgia leading on a 57-yard field goal after they had missed one of about 20-some-odd yards right down in front. Dogs been in their own territory for quite a while now. 7:56 to go here and a half. Carolina's in that 5-2. They pull a man back. Blue with a fake draw looks. He's got Walker open. He threw to Womack for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and he fell down on the Carolina 41-yard line. Partially bumped off balance by Harry Skipper, the left cornerback. Walker came over the middle open, and there was Womack even more open. What was it, 31 yards, Phil? How much? 41 yards. They threw to the fullback. It's been many a moon since they have thrown to that fullback. Dogs split 2 men out. They've come down to the Carolina 41. They're in an eye looking at a 5-man line. They fake a trap. Blue looks, and it's batted down. Caught by Womack on the line of scrimmage. He's got 5, 10. Let's see. He's going to have him down in the 33. South Carolina batted the ball in the air. Womack caught it just over the line. They'll mark him dead on the 33. The game then will be 8. Chuck Jones in at a flanker. Womack has come out. Dogs have Stewart in at the full. Arnold has come out. Second down, about 2.5. They're just outside the South Carolina 33. They have to cross the 31 by 2.5 inches for a first down. They got a slot to the left. Carolina's in a 5-3. And they go to Stewart to full, and they rack him up and drive him back. He got, I think, 1 yard in there and couldn't get any more. 3-0. Georgia leading, and Buck Belew's been thrown to get him down. Let's see. Give him a yard to the 32. Georgia's third down, a long yard. Emmanuel Weaver, a great middle guard, stopped that play. Clarence Kay back into the tight end. Stewart and Kay are in there, and Jones and Scott have come out. Dogs in a 2 tight end offense. They need a long yard. They need a yard and a fraction. They're down on the South Carolina 32, and the Gamecocks are in a tight 6-2. And they run the fullback in motion. They go to Walker, and they submarine, and he went right down after a yard. I don't know if he got the yard and a fraction or not. Blowing in there was Weaver, that middle guard, to get his feet out. Big Province, the left tackle, partially bumping him. Officials might measure here. He got a yard and a fraction, and boy, is it close. Part of the football over the 31. If he made it 1.5 inches or so. Payne thinks he made it by 2 inches. From up here, he missed it 1 or 2 inches now. Yes, he did. He missed it. Third down and 2 inches. South Carolina trying to make a stand here. 3-0. Georgia leading 6:02.5. They're on the 31. Front nose of the football, just barely pushing over the 31, and they got to push it a couple more inches. Georgia leading 3-0. Georgia coaches next to me screaming over here what they want the bench to call. Dogs walked up to the line. 4th down. They need inches. They don't even need a half a yard. Power eye, everybody in power backfield, and Carolina's in an 8-3 setup, and their nose guard got off, but he got back in, and Ballou is going to give it to Herschel Walker, who dove upside down for the first down. He went over left guard and left tackle where Harper and Blakewood are, and jumped over the top and got barely 2 yards to the 29.5. He got a short 2. He got about 1.5 yards. Georgia takes Kay out, and Stewart, a tight end and fullback. Arnold and Scott are back in there. Womack's back in the backfield. Georgia sitting outside on a Carolina 29.5. That actual gain, it was just about 2, not quite. High slot right to the short side. Carolina brings a corner up. They're in a 5-3 now. Amp Arnold goes in motion, and Buck Bellew back to throw. Fires complete on the 23. One man rolled a block on Norris Brown, and he went down in the 20. And that's Perlott, the free safety. He hit Norris Brown. Buck Bellew has taken his arm to bring him down, and the gain was 8, second down and a short 2. The ball's inside the Carolina 21, and they have to go just outside of the 19. I'll go with the outside the Carolina 20. Second and 1. Pass play was a short 9. Carolina in at 5-2. Herschel Walker in the middle, driving and leaning to the right for a first down. They hit him hard on the line. He had a little bit of indentation with Radloff and Morrison in the middle, and he got a couple of yards. He may have gotten 3. I believe he did. Down to the 17. Province, the big left tackle. Hal Henderson, the end, hit him. Georgia's sitting down on the South Carolina 17, and it's 3-0. Georgia 4:34 to go in a half. Dogs coming up to the line. Radloff gets over the ball as Arnold splits to the right first. Scott splits left short. Carolina in a 5-3. And Buck Bellew going to come out here to the right side, going to throw and a run. And it's complete on the 4 to Clarence Kay. Clarence Kay caught that ball around the 4 that got him on the 3, Perlotte the safety. We had Arnold and Kay both down there, very close to each other. There was 2 white jerseys right with him. Arnold and Scott came out. Dogs are sitting on the South Carolina 4, and South Carolina up in there in a 7-3-1. Herschel Walker trying to go in the middle, and there's just no room at all. Nothing at all, maybe a foot. And they knock him back down to about the 7. No move at all. You know, last time we got down in there close, which was a long time ago, we tried to run him in there a lot, and they wouldn't budge. Weaver, that middle guard, and Allen, that tackle, just would not move. It's second down right there. Weaver's 250 and Allen's 250, the middle guard and that tackle. Georgia's second down and a 4. The football moved 3 or 4 inches if you're interested. Dogs up in there in the power backfield and the power eye. And South Carolina's in a 7-4, and they pitch it to Herschel Walker. He cuts in driving, and he pushed them down to about the 1.5. He came sweeping out, running there. He had Stewart running with him, among others. And he also had the tight end, and they will mark it where? On the 1. The gain was 3. Henderson, the end from behind, and Perlotte, the free safety, hit him. Georgia's third down on the South Carolina 1. Georgia leading 3-0, 2:59 to go in a half. Dogs knocking down here. South Carolina trying to make a great stand as she did and saved herself at Ann Arbor against Michigan. The backs are in. Everybody in on an 8-3 setup. Herschel Walker, they hit him on a goal line, and they knock him back. They tried to run Herschel at the right tackle, and he could not move. If anything, he got a foot. They just knocked him back. We tried to put power over there. There's a slow pile up there still talking. Wait a minute, is there something wrong in there? Officials have stopped the clock at the moment. Now they're helping Perlotte, the free safety, up, who had been in on the play. Now where are they going to put it down? It took them a long time to unpile it. They got a few inches, ball inside the 1, and Georgia may call time here with 4th down and 2 feet. Timeout, 30 seconds. Georgia Football Network. Carolina trying to make another goal line stand. Carolina is in a 9-2 sort of. It's almost a 10-1. Stewart in motion. Fake. And they hit Bellew as he throws incomplete back in the 10. We tried to go to the tight end and somebody blitzed Harry Skipper, a cornerback. We put the fullback in motion to the left. Buck tried to repeat and throw. We got a man hurt back in the 11 or 12. It's Bellew who's hurt. Carolina blitzed and hit him and batted it down, and South Carolina has stopped him again. Buck Bellew has been hurt. Took that arm of his and passed the Dogs all the way down the field, and now Buck is down. Somebody really racked him back there on the 11-yard line. He is still down. Georgia marched virtually the length of the field and again couldn't get any, and Buck Bellew is hurt.
Got the breath knocked out of him. Had he been able to complete that pass, I don't think he would have stayed on the ground, but he jumped up to throw, and the guy hit him right in the midsection, so that's why he was down. But he's okay, and he'll be able to go back. That play would have worked had somebody picked up the blitzing player there, because the tight end, and that was the plan, was to fake inside and throw to the tight end in the corner. He was open, but South Carolina defense got there and broke it up.
Carolina made a great play on it, because the Dogs pulled their fullback in motion to the left, and the tight end got open out on the right. I started to say right flat, but not really. He was 5-6 yards across and hooking even more right, and Buck was going to throw there, and they cracked the ball right in his face as they hit him. All right, Carolina's got the ball in their own 1. They've made 2 great goal line stands. Harper, the quarterback, sneaking and twisting and still going, and they finally knocked him back behind the goal line, but now wait a minute, I'm sure the whistle blew on the 1 or the 2. He kept penetrating and pushing, and finally another dog hit him and knocked him back about a foot on the other side of the goal line, but they'll give him on the play a couple of yards from the 1 out to the 3. Harper on a sneak at right guard. They have a great, big experience and very big offensive line. They have really moved the ball on people. 2nd down and 8. South Carolina just shy of the 3. They got a long 8 to go. They gained it about a yard and a half. They put Gillespie wide out to the left. They split the backs. Dogs in that 6-2 again. Harper looking at it. And there's a hole at the tackle, and coming out is Johnny Wright, the fullback, to about the 7. He got about 4 yards at the Dogs' left tackle. Dale Carver, the end, hit him, and Tim Crow, a guard, hit him. Let's pause 10 seconds here. Station identification. I've got one field goal, and that was a long one. Quick handoff. Rogers driving for a first down out to the 15. George Rogers with a hole at his left guard and left tackle. And he shot from the 7 for 8 yards to the 15. And Jeff Hipp, the safety man, hit him. And Nate Taylor, that little linebacker out of Tifton, hit him. And Carolina has grounded out to the 15. Georgia drove it 82 yards to a 3rd on the 1. And got stopped there on a real good safety blitz. Here comes a handoff to Rogers. He cuts back in the middle, 5 yards, 8 or 9. Let's see. He's out close to the 24. Jimmy Payne from behind grabbed him. George Rogers. Carolina, at times, takes a little time up to the line. Boy, they snap it quick. Gain was 9, almost to the 24. George Rogers getting his yards as he does against everybody, and as he did all last year against everybody. 2nd down, about a yard and a fraction. South Carolina moving very, very late in the half. Only 22 seconds now, 3-0. Georgia leading on a 57-yard field goal, and we've been down there 2 other times and didn't get it. And Harper going to hand it to Rogers, and they hit him on the 27. He got 3 yards and a first down. Clock stop with about 11 seconds as Rogers shot in there to the 27. Ross and Taylor, the linebackers, hit him. Carolina, at the moment at least, is acting very much like a team that is not going to put it up in the air with one play. And now, in fact, the clock, I think, is going to run it out. That'll be the end of the half. Georgia leading 3-0. Man, we haven't seen anything yet. Pause here, 60 seconds. This is a Georgia football net. Tanner kicks it. Long, booming kick way, way, way back in the end zone. Scott Warner got it down at 9 yards deep. Dogs will put it in play on the 20. Now, in the second quarter, about the halfway point, they put it in play right here, and they came grinding. They lined up on about their 19 and wound up all the way down on the South Carolina 1 and got stopped. 3-0. Georgia leading. Lindsey Scott breaks out to the right and Hap Arnold to the left. Wayne Radloff over the ball. Buck Bellew walks up. Carolina's come up on a 6 because a cornerback has come up on one side. They're at a 6-2. Handoff, Herschel Walker pushing, driving for about 3, maybe 4. Ed Baxley, a linebacker, helping Chuck Allen, the tackle on that side. Joe Happy is the center instead of Radloff here. Clemson 10, Wake Forest nothing, end of the first quarter. Scores to the courtesy Athens radio station WRFC. And again, a special hello to the American Forces Radio Network today all around the world. Walker got 4 instead of 3. Ball on the 24, 2nd down and 6. And it's just kissing the 24. They're in the eye, and Bellew back to the left to throw. Got some time. There's a man in the middle, and he missed. Norris Brown open on the 37 as he fell down on his hip, trying to turn around and come back to catch a ball thrown low and behind him. Bellew had some time and missed him right down the middle and threw it a little lowish and threw it behind him. It'll be 3rd down and 6. Georgia's gone down to the 4.5 and been stopped. And they came down and lined up again on the 4 and got stopped on the 1. They've got a 57-yard field goal to show for it. South Carolina yet hasn't been down there. South Carolina in a 5-3. And they run a trap with Herschel Walker. Got a hole. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Herschel. There goes Herschel. Suddenly, 76 yards. Herschel Walker scores. Hole at the right tackle. Man, did he turn it on when he had to. Suddenly, 9-0 and the Dogs lead, and the stadium trembles and cracks a little bit. Herschel Walker, 76 yards on a 3rd down 6 shot off the 24. Rex Robinson puts it up. A man almost got to it. The kick is good. Georgia leads 10-0. Timeout, 60 seconds. Georgia Football Network. Rex Robinson kicked long, sailing ball, caught down in the end zone 5 yards deep by Horace Smith. Dogs leading 10-0. Crowd came up roaring because as the Dogs lined up to kick off, one of the men on the kick covering team was jumping up and down telling them to give us more, and the crowd really responded. All right, South Carolina's got the ball on the 20 and they trailed 10-0. We came down there and down there and down there and couldn't get any points except for one tremendously long field goal, and suddenly there went Herschel. Gary Harper up to the ball. They're in an eye. Dogs are in a 6-2. Harper long count. And he puts the flanker in motion back over to the left side. They pitch it to Rogers. He cuts in. He comes out to the 24, and he got 4 yards. Jimmy Payne hit him first. And on a slot to the left on 3rd and 3 on the 27. Harper back to throw, going to the left. Harper throws and dropped it as we hit him on the 25. Frank Ross, that linebacker out of South Carolina for the Dogs, hit the receiver. George Rogers over in that left flat. Threw it behind the line, and Ross cracked it.
By all rights, Larry, he should have caught the ball because he was open and he had his hands on it, but a great defensive play. And not only are the players wild on the sideline, but they're getting wild in the stands, Larry. Everybody's standing up on every big play. And now Scott Warner with a chance to do his thing.
Chris Norman, the kick for South Carolina. He's had a couple of boomers today after the first high short one. Dogs trying to come in on him. Norman kicks. Good kick. Scott Warner back, caught it on the 30. No room. Up the middle. 35. 40. One man from behind on the 43. Scott Warner had a little seam leaning to the right. And got about 13 yards with a return. And the Dogs will put it in play close to the 44. Timeout here, 30 seconds. This is the Georgia Football Network. Carolina up on a 6-2. Fake Blue running around to the right. Going to throw and a run to Norris Brown. Complete in the 39, the 35, the 30. Out of bounds on the 28. Norris Brown down in front of him. Perlock, the free safety, had to drive him out. Buck Bellew sprinting to the right. They had blitzed from the right side as he was going to his right, however. And the play was 26 yards out on the 30, they say. By the way, Walker's run a short bit ago gave him 142 yards for the day, if you're interested in those things. Dogs are going to line it up on the 30. Two men split, one very short, one wide to the left. Carolina on the 6-2. They pitch it to Herschel Walker, can't get him out. They're all over him. They blitz. He tried to go back to the right, and he lost 3 or 4 yards. He was slanting off to the left, trying to run a power sweep. Not enough blocking. It broke down. He tried to turn around, and he lost 4 yards. Cater, the backer. Phil Ellis, the left end, primarily hitting him. And it's going to be 2nd down and 14. Dogs trying to knock on the door again. Warren Gray is going to come in at a guard. Gray is in, and Jim Blakewood is out. Georgia's 2nd down, 14 on the South Carolina 44. After Blue's pass brought him down, and now Buck calls time wisely. They don't have the signs right, so Buck Bellew calls time for Georgia. We'll take 30 seconds here. This is the Georgia Football Network. Final wide to the right. Scott Short only 4 yards to the left. South Carolina up with a cornerback tight, almost into 6-2, not quite. And Bellew wants to pass, and he's going to amp Arnold down the middle. He's going to overthrow everybody. Incomplete on the 3. Arnold trying to cut back in the middle, and there was 2 men all over him. Skipper, the cornerback, and Perlott, the free safety.
There wasn't any doubt that the Georgia coaches felt there was some interference on that play because they were up and screaming as Arnold made his move into the middle. He got squeezed and pinched pretty good and just wasn't able to break loose. It's interesting, as Fran Talkington said, that Georgia had to throw on 1st down. That's the way they started this drive.
Slot off to the right, South Carolina in a 5-2-3. And we run a draw to Walker, and somebody grabbed his arm, spun him around. He barely hung on the ball. He lost a yard, I think, or else no gain of the 34. Tried to run a draw, and Weaver, that great middle guard, grabbing at him and kind of spun him a little bit just as he took the trap. No gain, 4th and 14. Lauren, what do you got?
Well, the sideline went berserk then because they felt like the South Carolina defender had him by the face mask. He really gave him a clothesline, and they felt they should have gotten 15 yards.
Robinson to try a long one. 51 yards. He missed a short one. He kicked one at 57. Rex Robinson puts it up. A long one, and it is good! The wind had come up just enough. It only got a foot over the bar. Georgia leads 13-0. Timeout, 30 seconds, Georgia Football Network.
It encourages the crowd as he gets set to kick off, and the crowd responds to Rex Robinson.
And the wind came up just a little while ago, and it's up a little bit again as Robinson kicks into it. Sailing flat ball, can't get the end zone with the wind. Two Carolina backs together, and Horace Smith up to the 15 to the 18 and hit there just shy of the 20, maybe the 19. Carolina two backs colliding. Steve Kelly of the kick covering team, the first guy that cracked him. South Carolina put it in play on the 19, just shy of the 19 an inch or so. 11-14 to go in the third quarter. Georgia leading 13-0. South Carolina up to the ball. Mark Austin over the ball. Gary Harper turned around, said something to his running back. That's right, and Rogers. And a handoff to Rogers at the tackle, and the defense swarming on him. He got a couple of yards, only at left tackle of the 21. Rogers running at left tackle and got a couple of yards. Pat McShay hitting him. Chris Weltner back over there, and it's second down and 8. South Carolina interchanging those flankers. Horace Smith and Tim Gillespie in and out. And they run plays in and out. Now they got 2 men split wide right. That's Cornette, a tight end out there with Gillespie on a wide slot, really to the right. Dogs are in a 5, faking, jumping in and out of the line with the backers. Harper pitching the ball to Rogers. Going to get him blocking, going to get him outside. He broke a tackle, and they knocked him down to 31. But because he broke a tackle on the 25, he really hurt Nate Taylor when he broke it on the 25. He got 6 more, and he got a first down. Rogers got 10 yards, almost 11. Eddie Weaver had to finally grab him. They went that big sweep they've used all year so successfully against everybody, out where the slot men were, and got enough blocking and got him out, and a dog hit him after the first 4 yards coming around the corner, and he bounced off him. George up on that 6-2. Harper wants to throw. Harper looking, throwing over on the left, complete, and they knock him out on the 40. He got 8 or 9 yards. He hit Horace Smith. Dale Williams was the guy that cracked him, the Dogs' right cornerback, and the gain was 9. It'll be second down on the yard, maybe really a yard and a half.
Well, that's their first completion of the afternoon, as Harper now is 1 for 6 throwing the football.
South Carolina driving, getting away from their own goal line. They got that strong wind on their back. I don't know where that wind came from. Their wind out of the west. Harper long count, only has one man split out, looking at a 6-2. Going to give it to Rogers. He cuts back in the middle, and I hit him right there. And I don't know if he got the first down. Nate Taylor really hit him, and so did Tim Crow, a defensive guard. It is going to be third down and about a half a yard. Give him the yard. He needed a yard and a half. Carolina up on the 41, and they need about a foot or so.
Rogers, by the way, Larry, has gone over the century mark now. He's got 106 yards in the ball game.
Horace Smith and Cornette slot to the right. The Dogs stack it in there, and Rogers breaks the tackle. 5, 10, 15. He goes down to the Georgia 45 on a quick dive play, and he shot on the play from the 41. He got 15 yards to the Georgia 44, and Jeff Hipp, the safety man, had to knock him down. South Carolina driving.
First down of Georgia.
Georgia's Will Forts limping, coming out. South Carolina driving. Their first really deep drive of the day now. They have driven from their 19 down to the 44 and a half. Reeves in for Rogers at the tailback at the moment. They're in an eye. Harper fakes it, keeps the option, and cuts inside running. And he broke to the 35, down to the Georgia 30. He ran option right and cut back in against the grain, and he got about 14 yards. Gary Harper, caught by Eddie Weaver from behind. Dale Williams, a cornerback, out of Columbus, had to hit him. Georgia leading in the third quarter. Big slot off to the right side. And a handoff coming to Reeves, that reserve running back, and he shoots into about the 27. I think he got 3 yards. Percy Reed. Here comes Rogers in. They rested him for about 45 seconds or so. Nate Taylor, the linebacker. Pat McShay, a defensive end. Hank Ross had an arm. We take Nate Taylor out. Boy, is he taking some blows. South Carolina's third down and actually about 7.5. The football's just across the 28. They have to go to the 20. Third down. They got a long 7, almost 8 to go. They got those big slot right. They got Rogers back in there at the tail. They're going to sweep with him. Now they run a man back halfway in motion. Harper back to throw. Looking, they chase him over the middle. Deflected, incomplete. Dogs had some men down around the 10 or 12. Had the ball deflected fairly close to them, but batted. Intended for Rogers, who delayed. Tim Crow, a defensive guard, kid out of Stone Mountain, had pretty good last-second pressure on him. South Carolina's fourth down just inside of the Dog 28. It's 13-0 Georgia. 8:06 to go here in the third quarter.
Down to 28.
Eddie Leopard is going to try it. It's going to be held on the 35. He's got a little bit of a wind on his back. Not real strong. There's been a 57 and a 51 kicked in this game, and a missed short one. Carolina goes for 45-yarder. It looks good. It's strong and powerful. The kick is good. Leopard sticks it in there. South Carolina gets on the board. It's 13-3. Timeout here, 30 seconds. Georgia Football Network. Kicking toward the trestle. End over end, not overly long. Scott Warner on the 4, the 5, the 10 to 15. Trying to look for a seam, the 25. Flag down. Watch the penalty. Another flag down. Penalty flags on the 23 and the 26. I don't like the look of that. They knocked Scott Warner down around the 29. Check the penalty here. Return to come out just barely across the 29. Georgia repeating and expecting another long penalty. They had one in the first half, but it put them in a hole. Dogs expecting a 15-yarder. They're going to start in a tough hole here in the middle of this third quarter. In the second quarter, with about half a quarter to go, they drove from the 19 all the way down, got stopped on the 1. Dogs expecting a penalty here. Lauren, what do you got?
Well, Larry, it looks like they're being called for clipping. Just as the kickoff was made there, they got the offensive team together and said, look, South Carolina is coming after the defense, so get out there, do something, keep the ball moving, and let's get some points because we're going to need them. And it's obvious right now that Georgia's in a hole, and if they don't come out of there, South Carolina and that great back will come in here with good field position in a moment.
Dogs down on their own, 11 and a half. Amp Arnold way out to the right. Lindsey Scott only 4 or 5 yards to the left. Buck Ballou looked out there at the wide man on a 5-man front. Goes to Herschel Walker up the middle. Drove out to about the 15. He had a hole in the middle. There was a man partially blocked in front of him. Ed Baxley, the linebacker. Herschel went right into there and got to the 16 and got 5. Auburn 3, Florida nothing, first quarter. Penn State 3, Miami 3, first quarter. VPI 7, West Virginia 3, first quarter. Repeating, Auburn leads Florida 3-0 into the first quarter. Georgia out on their 16-yard line. They're in that I slot wide to the right. Carolina on the 5, and they go to the fullback. And Carolina grabbed him on about the 17.5 and drives him back. Womack back to the 14. That's Cater, the right linebacker, and Henderson the end. Womack shot in there and got a couple of yards to the 18. Got it across the 18. It's third down. The ball on the 18.5. Georgia's 3rd and 3. Carolina just made a long drive. Moved it about 50 or 60 and kicked a long field goal. Moved it a little over 50 yards. Dogs trying to drive now, keep the ball, rest that defense a little. Carolina in a wide 5-4 defense out with the slot men. And we go to Walker, and they hit him right on the line as he went to the 20. The hole at right tackle didn't open enough. Robbins, that big fine tackle out of Savannah, had it run at him, and we didn't move him enough. And the gain was a yard. It's 4th and 2. The Dogs have to kick from the 20. And they need a boomer here, though the wind has come up a little bit out of the west again into their face. And South Carolina acting like they might load the lineup. Yes, they will. South Carolina's got 9 men on the line. And he gets it up high. Short. Fair catch call for on the Carolina 47 or so. Very high. The wind brought it back a little bit. There was pressure on Mark Malkowitz, but he got it off. And from the line of scrimmage, it was only 32 or 33 yards. Carolina's ball on their 48. Excellent field position. Timeout, 30 seconds here. This is the Georgia Football Network. And driving goes Rogers right up the middle. They're on that big George Rogers in there, and they actually started closer to the 48, and he got about 3 yards. Tim Crow hit him. Jimmy Payne, the tackle, hit him at 2nd down and 7. Carolina put it in play on their 47.5. They have to go to the Dogs' 42.5 for a first down. South Carolina trying to drive again. That's 13-3 Georgia. I slot off to the right side. Dogs are in a spread 5-4. Quarterback got hit on the line and fell forward and got a yard. Dale Carver, the end, playing it very well. He started to the right as if the pitch or run an option, tried to turn around and go in there and wound up with a yard to the Georgia 48. Dale Carver, kid out of Melbourne, Florida, defensive end.
George Rogers was out there. He could have taken the pitch had Harper been free, but it was played very well defensively by Georgia.
3rd down, 5.5. South Carolina inside the Georgia 48. Georgia flip-flops the defense to look at the wide slot off to the right side. They sweep that way sometimes, you know. Harper calls him in. He fakes. He's going to run back and look. Got plenty of time. Throws it down the middle. And at the last second, beautifully broken up where it would have been a touchdown on the 22 to Giant Willie Scott. Dale Williams, the cornerback, dove and barely got his hand. And that 6'5" 230 or 40-pound tight end was reaching down there on the 22 for it, and he had to dive to bat it down. He barely batted it down.
Scott had 2 steps on him, and Carver just reached in and flicked it away at the last second. Now, Carolina to punt.
Dogs in kind of a broken 6-2 as Norman kicks on 4th down, 5.5. He kicked a long high ball. Now watch that bounce. And it's bouncing back for Carolina from the 6 back to the 10, back to the 11. Georgia's in a bad hole. He got one up there higher than the stadium, and it came straight down, spinning, point down, a 36-yarder to put Georgia in a bad hole around their own 12. Crowd gives the defense a hand. Dogs, once again, as I mentioned 3 minutes or so ago, they need to drive and rest that defense. 13-3, Georgia leading with 4:48 in the third quarter. Radloff back in at center. Ronnie Stewart is a full. Dogs coming up. Wide slot left. South Carolina on a 5-2. They got men out with the slot men. Georgia down on their own 12. And we fake, and Buck Bellew is coming out. He's going to run to the 7, to the 10, to the 12, to 15, 17, and out of bounds. He let him just force him out. Buck Bellew ran a wide sweep out and got 5. He had to go wide left. Had enough of a block on a corner early in the play as it unfolded to get the 5 yards and get him out. It'll be 2nd down and 5. The clock stopped at 4:39 in the third quarter. Georgia's got a 51 and a 57-yard field goal and a long touchdown from the freshman. Carolina's got a 45-yard field goal. Carolina on a 5-2. Herschel Walker barely holding on the ball. He almost fumbled as he tried to go in, no gain. In fact, he lost a couple of yards. He did not have possession of the ball, trying to get into his left guard. Submarine by that guy Weaver, the middle guard again. And what are they going to give him? They might give him a yard. Yeah, they give him a yard to the 18. Herschel was fighting to hang on. It's 3rd down and a short forward to about 3.5. Ball on the 18, a little bit across, not much, half a football. Got to go to the 22. Dogs at 3rd down and 4. 2 men split out, 6-man front, and they fake. And Buck Bellew going to get sacked back on the 9. Phil Ellis, the left end. Dogs had 2 men down the right side, but they blitzed somebody again. Phil Ellis, the left end, did that. Lost on a play of 8 yards back to the 10, and Georgia again in this quarter forced to kick. And now look at the wind strong into their face. Georgia kicking into the wind. South Carolina loading it up. And Malkowitz kicks short. End over end. Fair catch call for on the 40. Short kick. South Carolina. Excellent field position now. They're going to line it up on the 40. Because the ball only came out there from the line of scrimmage 30 yards. South Carolina really knocking on the door now. 13-3, Georgia leading. Timeout here, 30 seconds. This is a Georgia. Dogs in an old 6-2 and a handoff going, slanting, breaking a tackle. There goes Johnny Wright all the way down in the corner. That's Kyle West for a touchdown. Kyle West, the number 2 fullback, on a dive at right tackle. Broke one tackle on the 5-6-yard mark and exploded 39.5 yards. 13-9 by Eddie Leopard, and the kick is up good. It's 13-10 with still better than 3 minutes in the third quarter. Timeout here, 30 seconds. This is a Georgia Football Network.
Good field position.
Tanner kicks low, powerful, and it's going to have to be down way back. Scott Warner made a very fancy one-handed catch, retreating with the wind helping the kicker as he went back to the end line. Dogs again are going to line it up in virtually the same spot, this time on the 20. South Carolina's really had that ball in the third quarter, 13-10. Dogs have lost most of the lead, not quite all of it. The crowd trying to roar them on now. 13-0 has vanished to 13-10. South Carolina lost only to Southern Cal out in Los Angeles, and only because they dropped it 4 times inside their own 30. Herschel Walker driving with a hole, coming out to the 25. He went at right guard and right tackle. Herschel Walker got 5 yards at right guard and right tackle. And Ricky Haygood is coming in, and Big Weaver is out in the middle guard for South Carolina. George up on the 25, 2nd and 5, and you talk about a football team needing a long drive. 13-10, 2:58 to go. South Carolina had a number 2 fullback in, and he just broke it. 5-3 setup, hand off to Herschel Walker, cuts back inside the tackle, lunges up and got the first down. He got 5 or 5 and a fraction, fell across the 30. He ran at the left tackle. Tim Morrison came out with a bad arm or shoulder. One of the starting guards got hurt. Georgia's got a man coming out. Tim Morrison has come out. We came into this one with the number 1 center gone, as you know. And Creeman's a starting defensive guard trying to play at a bad angle. He's played some today. First down on the 30. Joe Happy's in at Morrison's guard spot. We got an eye. 2 men split out. Buffalo going to run a draw. Herschel Walker trying to go up the middle, driving 35, 36, maybe the 37. Had a hole at the left guard, and Herschel Walker drove it 6 or 7. Terrell Williams, number 2 defensive right end, the first guy that hit him for South Carolina to the 37. It's 2nd down and 3. You talk about power football. 2-10. Remember, the Dogs threw a lot in the first half. Buffalo at 7 out of 12 for 126 yards. And we were throwing early in the third quarter when we had the ball. We haven't had it a lot now. 5-2 setup. Buffalo wants to throw. Now going to dump it over the middle of Scott. Complete in a 47, and they hit him on a Carolina 48. Lindsey Scott broke out open in the middle. 13, 15 yards to the 48. Pat Bowen, the strong safety for South Carolina, hit him. Georgia trying to get a drive going, leading only 13-10 with 1:50 to go. Stadium really rocking. Dogs up to the line. Amp Arnold broken wide to one side, Lindsey Scott to the other. Though he's not as wide, Carolina up on a 6-2. Ballou going to fake the draw. Got in trouble behind the line. Going to have to eat it way back on his 38 or 9. They blitzed hard. Paul Williams, the defensive right end, the number 2 end. And Big Andy Province, the left tackle. And that took it out of Carolina territory. 13 yards behind the line all the way back to the 39. Lauren?
Tim Morrison has a pinched nerve, but he looks like he'll be able to go back. Right now, they're going to have to hold him out a while, and then they feel like they have, though, after they give him a little treatment, he should be able to return to the game.
Dogs split 2 men out, Carolina in a 5-2 umbrella, and we pitch it to Herschel Walker, trying to get him a block. No block. He put his head down. He's pushing people, and finally a 2nd and a 3rd man, 4th man really rack him back. He came up to about the 43. Herschel Walker got about 4 yards. Chuck Allen, the tackle, hanging on to him all the way. Morrison's back into the guard. Georgia now, because of the sack play, is 3rd down, long yardage. Herschel Walker came out limping. Is that ankle going to be hurt again? He's had a couple of games when he barely played a half a game. Herschel Walker comes out limping. That running back is out limping. Carney Norris, South Carolina kid at the tail. Carolina's in that 5-2 again. Fake, Ballou to throw, looking, going to the left side, almost intercepted, dropped on a 47, headed for Norris Brown. Pat Bowen, a strong safety, diagnosed it, almost intercepted in the flat. Carolina stopped the drive, and the Dogs now need a booming punt. 13-10, Georgia barely leading, 3 little points, closing seconds of the third quarter. Makowicz to kick. South Carolina, only 6 men on the line, and they rush off one side, and the kick is high and short. It's not real deep. Fair catch on a 22. Up into that bit of a wind again. Not a real booming kick, but South Carolina will start it on their 22, a 36-yard kick. What do you got, Lauren?
Herschel Walker's ankle is sprained, and they're taping it up now. You could see him limping visibly when he came off the field, and there's a great concerned number of people on this sideline, but they feel like he'll be able to go back. Whether or not he'll be as effective or as fast, we don't know. Obviously, he should be slowed some, but it's also rather obvious at this point that he will return to the game.
South Carolina walks up to the ball. They're in a power eye with those 2 tight ends, of course. As usual, Dogs are in a 6-2. Carolina on their own 22. Harper, the quarterback, starts a man in motion, runs him the other way. Big sweep with Rogers coming out. Rogers going to get 5, 6 fighting yards with 3 red shirts hanging on him on the 26. They run a man in motion back one way and run the other way. And they got 6 on the sweep. End of the quarter, 13-10. Timeout, 60 seconds, Georgia Football Network. Harper going to hand the ball to Rogers. Rogers driving out to the 30. Almost the 31. They want it right guard or right tackle. They give him the ball, and they give him the ball, and they give it. Eddie Weaver hanging on to him. And the gain was 5 to the 31. South Carolina 3rd down, 1.5 yards. Ball just shy of the 31. I got to get to the 32. We are in the 4th quarter. Early in the first 30 seconds of it, Georgia trying to hang on to a 13-10 lead. Play from the sideline, and they go to Rogers. They hit him, and he spun around, and he got 3 or 4. We hit him right on the 30, but he kept spinning in the air, and he fell forward and got the first down. I think he got 3. Dogs got a man down, do we? We might have a man hurt. Robert Miles, defensive left end, is down. We had 2 starters out coming into this one. We've had luck with injuries for the last 2 weeks. We can't lose anybody else with the giant games in our left. Take 30 seconds out here. This is a Georgia Football Network. 2 points down, Dogs in a 6-2. They split the backs. One man wide. Harper going to hand it on that little dive on the right side. Carl West again out to about the 42. That's the play he broke for 39.5 yards a few minutes ago. Split backfield, and he jumped from the 33. He got 9 yards. Jeff hit him. Chris Welton hit him. It'll be second down at about a yard or a yard and a half. South Carolina got the ball out just across the 41. The gain was really 8. They got across up to the 43.5 to get a first down. Dogs in that 6. Harper, fairly long count this time for him, sliding around. They hand it again in there to West, and the left side of the line hit him. He may have the 2 yards. He fumbled after the whistle. The Dogs think they got the ball, but the officials are not acting that way. He bobbled it coming in there as the left side of the Dog line, and the backers were jamming him up right around the 44 or 43 where he had to go to. Weaver hit him. Crow hit him rather first, I think, and Ross. Ball just shy of the 43. Give him a yard. It's third down and less than a yard. South Carolina trying to get another drive going. They haven't allowed anybody to score on them in the fourth quarter all year. They've kept the ball in the fourth quarter all year. South Carolina coming up the line, third down, and they only need 2 feet. Dogs come up into kind of a tight 6-2 now, and the quarterback sneaking for a first down, pushing it right guard. Gary Harper running behind Gattell, the right guard, and Austin, the center. And he got a couple of yards and a first down to the 45, where they're going to mark it, give him 3 to the 46. South Carolina's trying to drive again. Dogs interchanging linebackers, Thurston in and Taylor out. 12:51, plenty of time to play. Both these famous defenses now have given up more than their 7 or 8 point averages, because it's 13-10. South Carolina eye slot, Dogs in a 5-3. Harper going to come out and cut back in and run, and he fought his way up. Somebody hit him on the 49, but he fell to the Georgia 49. Tommy Thurston out of Jacksonville, Florida, a linebacker, hit him, and the gain was 5, 2nd and 5. South Carolina getting yardage since Herschel Walker's stunning run early in the third quarter. South Carolina has been getting yardage and drives. They're 2nd and 5. They come into Georgia territory again. They split Smith out there, a 2 big tight end offense. Dogs in a 6-2. Carolina driving on the Georgia 49. Harper puts a man in motion. He turns, runs him back the other way. There's that sweep again to Rogers. Rogers going to try to get out. Scott Warner came up and grabbed him, and then Payne came across, and they got him on the Georgia 48, and he only got a yard. Scott Warner came blowing up from the secondary. Tim Parks over there helping. Payne had come across in pursuit. He only got a yard to the Georgia 48, and it's going to be 3rd and 4.
Scott Warner read that play very well. First of all, he went with the man in motion. Then when the man turned around and went back the other way, Warner went with him. He also knew that on that play previously, they had run Walker, or rather Rogers, to that side, and he cut in and made the tackle and cut him off.
Georgia stands trying to roar the defense in a holding. 3rd and 4, they're on the Georgia 48. Dogs in a 6-2, really a 6-3. Man in motion going over toward the short side of the Carolina bench, and they pitch to Rogers. And Rogers breaking cuts. He fumbled the ball, popped back in a 45. Everybody dives. Rogers got hit coming across the 45. He had reached the 44 for a first down. He got jarred out of his hands, and it fell back on the other side of the 45. Carolina recovered. Eddie Weaver was the guy that hit him. The gain was 3. Carolina recovered on the 45.5. It's 4th down, a yard and a half. South Carolina knows they've got plenty of time to get it back. They won't gamble here, apparently. Norman in the kick. 4th down, a yard and a half. South Carolina out of the Georgia 45.5. He can kick into a little wind here and try to put the Dogs in a hole again, and he does. High, coming down short where he wants it to. And it's hitting on the 11 and bouncing for Carolina over the 9, the 8, the 7, down around the 6. Georgia in miserable condition again on field position. It rolled beautifully. He got it up in there nice and high, and she came straight down, bouncing another 5, 6 yards. Slowly, Carolina covering it. Georgia way down again on her own 6. That one long run, that big play in the third quarter is what has the Dogs out here. That and those 2 very, very long field goals by Rex Robinson, of course. Dogs in miserable position down here on our own 6 with 10:29 to go, 13-10. Timeout, 30 seconds, Georgia Football Network. Slot left, Herschel Walker is in there. Let's see how the ankle is. They're almost in a 5-5, and Buffalo runs behind him and fights his way out and barely got maybe a yard to the 7. Womack got knocked upside down way back on the 1-yard line. It may have been a busted play. We lined up with a slot. and 2 tight ends in there, and Blue only got a yard of the 7. Haygood, the number 2 middle guard, and Chuck Allen, the tackle, hit him. 2nd and 9. Georgia down there deep on their own 7. We take that other tight end, Clarence Kay, out. Dogs leading only 13-10, 9:59 to play. Plenty of time. Carolina up in that 5-4, and we go to Herschel Walker running in the middle, and he's got maybe 3 to the 10, trying to drive him right up in the middle behind Radloff and Blakewood and Morrison. Baxley, the linebacker, and Hal Henderson, that right end, hit him. Georgia 3rd and 6 on their own 10. Third down, 6. 9:29 to go. Dogs hanging on, 13-10. Buck Bellew turned around, said something to his running backs. South Carolina in a 5-2, and Buck wants to throw. Back to throw over on the left side, complete and out of bounds to Amp Arnold around the 22 or 3 for a first down. He went straight back and looked right over there where kind of a curl-out pattern to Amp Arnold, which got him from the 10, got him 12 yards out to the 22. Duke 17, Georgia Tech nothing at the half. Auburn 10, Florida 7 at the half. Maryland 10, North Carolina State nothing at the half. Georgia got a first down out on the 22. South Carolina now they're in a 6. And Buck Bellew going to give it to Herschel Walker, trying to drive up in the middle, and he pushed the man and got 2 or 3 more yards out to the 27. Got almost 5. I don't know how bad that ankle is or not. I thought so too. Dick Payne mentioned to me he thought there was almost trouble there on the handoff between Bellew and Walker. Ricky Haygood, number 2 nose guard, the primary man responsible for stopping it. 2nd and 5. Georgia up on their own 27.5 early in the 4th quarter, leading by 3. Carolina's in a spread 5-4 out with the slot men. Womack trying to run in there and a trap at left guard, and they stuck him hard on the 29. He had to fight to get to the 29 and get a couple of yards. Allen the tackle on that side, and Henderson the end. And Baxley, that linebacker, hit him. And it's going to be 3rd down and a little over 3. Ball just across the 29. They got to go across the 32. It's 3rd and 3. Georgia would really like to rest their defense some more. 8:04 to play. Georgia leading 13-10. Dogs split 2 men out. South Carolina in a 6, acting like they could blitz off one corner. And Buck Bellew, as they blitz him, he's in trouble. They sack him again way back. I could see it coming up here. They came off both sides. Matt Bowen, the strong safety. Long loss of better than 10 yards. Let's see. He lost a dozen yards all the way back to the 17. Dogs have to kick. They need a long punt, a real long one. They haven't had one today. Carolina's got 8 men up on that line. Malkowitz going to kick. Bad kick. Wobbly. Caught. Fair catch around the 47 or 8 in Georgia territory. He barely got the kick off. Carolina blew 3 men up the middle. From the 17, 30-yarder. They needed a long kick. They haven't had it all day, and South Carolina is in Georgia territory again on a 47. Again, they dropped it 4 times themselves inside their own 30 in the first half with Southern Cal and beat themselves. That's the only team that beat them, and that was out in Los Angeles. Beat them 23-13. Dogs in a 6, South Carolina. One man started. This time they put the fullback in motion, and they pitch it to Rogers. He got a block. He comes out. He breaks a tackle. He's on the sideline. Now the 40, the 30, fire down to the 30. He may have stepped out back in a 37. The official says he did. And they got 8 or 9. You could see a block. We had a man up on that corner, and they got a block on him, and he just shot by him. And from the 47, he stepped out where? Around the 37.5. They may have to measure it. 7:12 to go. South Carolina trying to come down again. Official's going to measure. Mike Fisher in. Dale Williams out at a cornerback. He got 9. Did he get 10? Let's see. This is Larry Munson along with Phil Schaefer. Usual spotters, Louis Phillips and Dick Payne. Our engineer, Randy Mullinax. Producer, Hugh Christian. Maybe shy of first down by less than a foot. He got 9 or 9.5.
And short yardage.
7:12. These 2 teams have 13 wins and a loss between them. One ranked number 4 in the country, one ranked number 14. South Carolina sitting out of the 37.5. Officials get the change back on the other side. You got a little bit less than half a quarter. 13-10, Georgia by 3. Blocked a punt in the first half, couldn't get anything out of it. Came back in a long drive. Got stopped again inside the 5. But still led by 3. South Carolina with those 2 split running backs. They go to Rogers. They hit him in the middle. And he got the first down. He needed a half a yard. I think he got a yard and a half. They shot him right in the middle. South Carolina knocking on that door. Taking their methodical time because they got plenty of time on the clock. Nate Taylor hit him. Eddie Weaver hit him. It'll be a first down just outside the 35. 7:03 to go. Have you noticed? South Carolina will not give us a turnover. The thing that we've been famous for. We blocked the punt early. That's the one. Dogs are in kind of a stunted 6-2 this time. Got a man in motion. He stops and goes back. And Harper going to hand it on the draw in the middle to Rogers. They knock him off balance, but he went all the way to the 27. Man, did he have a hole. They ran a good fake off that. He spun around off balance the last 3 yards. Somebody hit him. If he hadn't, he would have been gone. He got about 8. South Carolina trying to take it in there and take the lead for the first time because they trailed all day, better than 3.5 quarters. It's second down and 2. South Carolina knocking on the door. 13-10. Georgia leading 6:17 to go. South Carolina dreaming of getting in the top 10 rankings. They run the fullback in motion and they pitch it to Rogers. He got a block and he's got 5, 7, 8 yards. He's down around the 20. Going to be another big first down. He got 7 more yards. Man, do they block. Carolina Rogers a little slow getting up this time. Frank Ross hit him. Jeff Hipp, the safety man, hit him. Rogers going to take a rest for a play or two as he's coming off. South Carolina only 20 yards away from a lead. Virginia 7, Tennessee 3 at the half. Notre Dame 26, Navy nothing at the half. Timeout here for 60 seconds. Georgia Football Network. Reserve tailback, reserve fullback in there for Carolina. Dogs up now in a 7-2-2, real tight and close. Man in motion, we put a man with him. Long count, Harper on the 20 for South Carolina. And a quick handoff to Reeves, diving at the right tackle, right guard. He got about 3 yards. Here comes Rogers, who rested one play and a timeout coming back in. Gain was 3 to the 17. Now right in front of the crossbar, clock 5:46. Remember, again, I remind you, South Carolina hasn't let anybody in the world score on them in that fourth quarter this year. Second down. They really had to make goal line stands in the fourth quarter down and close against Michigan, however. One man split out. Dogs almost again up on a 7-man line. Put the fullback in motion. They pitch it to Rogers. He cuts in. He fumbled the ball. It pops. It's still rolling. Georgia jumps on the ball on the 16. Fumble. Rogers had it popped up in the air. When it hit the ground, 2 or 3 bodies hit it. Then it squirted to one side on the 16, and the first red jersey was Chris Welton, the roverback from Atlanta, and then 2 others. Dogs have got the ball in their own 16, but there's a lot of time. Georgia hanging on by the skin of their pants, 13-10. Dogs up to the line. Carolina was about to take a lead. Finally, there was a fumble. Waited for a turnover all day. Hand off to Herschel Walker, and they crack him hard behind the line and knock him back 3-4 yards. He tries to keep his feet going. He tried to go at right tackle, no blocking. 3 men made him head on, standing up to shove him back. Big Province to tackle, and Baxley, the linebacker, hit him. And they will leave it no gain on the 16. He reached the line at 2nd and 10. He actually lost a foot at second down, a little over 10. Georgia 13, South Carolina 10, 4:55 to go. Dogs need a first down or 2 or 3 badly, desperately to control the ball. Below to Herschel Walker at the tackle. He drives out to the 20. He got 4, man, got him from behind. Running with a semi-bad ankle. Hal Anderson, the end, hit him. The clock is 4:38. The clock running. The Dogs hanging on 13-10. They've got it out on their own 20. That's no place to have it. They got 6 for a first down on 3rd down. You talk about a big play here. 4:24 to play. A little wind on their back. They're 80 yards away from it. South Carolina coming in there with a 5-3. Buck Bellew looking at it. He's going to pitch it out to Herschel Walker. Going to try to get some room. They hit him shy up on the 24.5. He is not running normally. Had a hole at right tackle. He got 4 more. It's going to be 4th down, 1.5 yards on the 24.5. Boco's fine. Linebackers Walt Cater, Ed Baxley hit him. They led the Gamecocks in tackles coming into today. Georgia's 4th down, a long one. And again, I say they need a long punt. And Malkowicz gets it off. Long. They knock him down. They rough the kicker. It hits on the 21. He kicked it long. They knocked Malkowicz down. They blew two men right in up the middle and knocked him down, roughing the kicker.
There is no doubt Georgia got a break there because they came within an eyelash of having that ball blocked, as South Carolina had two people coming right up the middle, and they darn near got the ball as Emmanuel Weaver was putting all kinds of pressure on Malkowicz, and now Georgia, instead of surrendering the football, instead of losing it on a block punt, will get a first down.
He kicked it 55 yards when we so desperately needed, but they knocked the kicker down and roughed the kicker. 15-yard penalty. Dogs are given the first down up just shy of the 40. 3:39 to go. Again, I say what I said a minute and a half or so ago. We need a first down or two or three. Dogs trying to hang on 13-10. Carolina, remember, hasn't given up a point all year in the fourth quarter. Buck Bellew going to run a draw with Herschel Walker. Got a block. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Down to the 34. The left cornerback, Skipper Perlott, the free safety, hit him. Herschel Walker got a great block on the corner by Jimmy Womack of Warner Robins. And they got him down to the 35. 25 big yards. Jimmy Womack got a block. Enough on the corner. And the Dogs come down to the Carolina 35 and a half. 13-10, Georgia leading. 3:09, there's still plenty of time, remember. Buck Bellew walks him up to the line. Carolina on a 5-2. Carolina had just fumbled it and given it to us down in there. We run a draw to Herschel. He's got 5, 7, 8 yards down to the 27. We ran another trap in there. Ed Baxley, a linebacker, pulled him down. He got 7 just across the South Carolina 28. 2:45, 2:44. Georgia leading 13-10. South Carolina going to put Haygood back in and take Weaver out at the nose guard. The Dogs have come down to the 28 because of a 15-yard penalty. And then Herschel Walker's run. Dogs wide, slot left. Carolina in a 5-2. Bellew to the fullback. Womack driving. Womack got away. 10-15 out of bounds around the 5. He got 19 yards, I believe, 20 yards to the 6.5. And did you notice when Bellew gave him the ball, Phil, he shoved him into the line at right guard. Gave him the ball and shoved him, and Womack broke a tackle after about 6 strides.
Play goes for 22 yards, Larry, as Womack was able to make the big one, and now Georgia knocking on the door.
Dogs, the power eye. Carolina brings everybody up in there. We put Stewart in motion to the left. We're on the 6.5. We pitch it to Walker. Herschel gets knocked upside down on his back on the 5 and barely got a yard and a half. And that's Weaver, the nose guard, who just came back in. We tried to get him at right tackle. When they hit him, he tried to spin around. Let's see what they give him. From the 7 where they mark it down to the 5.5. He got a yard and a half, technically. Front nose of the football touching the 5. It's second down. Got about a yard and a half. Dogs are 5.5 yards away. A minute 49. A minute 48. Georgia leading 13-10. The stadium is bonkers. Power eye. Herschel Walker drives and almost snuck in down to the 2. They hit him going around the 4 or so, and I think he shoved it a total of 3 yards. Let's see. We've been down here before, you know, and we couldn't get anything.
South Carolina wants to stop the clock. They were trying to get the clock stopped and get a timeout, and they've lost several seconds.
Look at Carolina then, a 7-3-1 defense. Herschel Walker, a man hit him as he drove into about the 1.5. We ran right up in the middle. He went from just inside the 3, and we tried to drive him in there behind Morrison and Hudson. He got a yard and a half to the 1. Fourth down. They've stopped us on a 4.5. They've stopped us inside the 1. Here you are with 58 seconds, 57 seconds. Dogs need a yard and a foot. What's the call now? Look at Carolina trying to make another goal line stand. They made 2 today. Herschel Walker, they hit him right on the goal line. It's close. I think he fell shy 4 or 5 inches. He got a yard, but he didn't get a yard and a half. Carolina has made another goal line stand with 45 seconds. Somebody submarine just enough. It may have been Province. I don't know. It was either Province or a linebacker, Baxley. He got a yard, but he's a foot shy. It's South Carolina's ball. They've stopped us 3 times inside of the 5, just like they did with Michigan. 13-10. They still haven't given up a point, despite that long, beautiful offensive drive. 45 seconds. South Carolina has got to go almost 100 yards. A little better than 99.5, actually. South Carolina's Harper got a single running back this time, and he's dropping deep to throw. They rush him. He fires out on the right, complete on the 13, and they hit him up around the 17. And that's Tim Gillespie. Scott Warner hit him, and the pass play was 17 yards out to the 18-yard line. South Carolina hurries up to the line. 13-10. They've got to pass it 99.5 yards to come down. 36, 35, 34 seconds. George is in that 4-4, and he throws sideline pattern deliberately out of bounds to stop the clock with 29 seconds. Threw it behind the receiver over there. He had a man over there and threw it behind him. Now South Carolina can talk it over. 45, 40, 35, 30, 25, and they knock him down. Jeff Hipp out of Columbia, South Carolina. Jeff Hipp, he's come up with the ball. He's carrying the ball to the sideline. He wants to keep the football. 8 seconds. The dog defense came up with an interception. Do you realize next week is bigger than this one? Oh, yes, it is. It's much bigger than this one. Buffalo curls in the ball, and our backs fall lovingly on top of them. Look at that sweet clock. Georgia's defeated South Carolina 13-10, but man, was it hard. Dogs have won their 8th in a row. And now we got to pack our suitcases again, and we got to get out of town for 2 straight weeks. And they're battered and bruised now, I'll tell you that. They've got to beat Florida at Florida and Auburn at Auburn in order to get that big bowl bid. They're going to be beat up. The offense made that long drive, and it saved us after the defense forced a fumble. And then at the end, the defense forced the interception.